All right, quickly looking at our top rising stories this morning, I'd like us to begin with this one, which seems to be the big story of the day. Talking about the rearrest of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Well, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, yesterday announced that IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu has been rearrested from the UK. And of course, this is almost 6 years after jumping bail and fleeing the country. His trial has been adjourned to 26th of July for continuation. Now he has been tried for an 11 count charge bordering on terrorism, treasonable felony, unlawful society, and many other charges. Well, Mr. Bright, let's begin with you on this one this morning. Uh, Buhari's aide, one of Buhari's aides, talking about Bashir Ahmad, had also come out yesterday to say, well, this is the language they understand. Like, now they understand the language. And, of course, making reference to the president's statement earlier where he said he was going to treat, these mischief makers in the language that they understand. Now, his arrest has been described by some people as a covert operation and a very uncommon one at that. The Attorney General has said the Nigerian Security Intelligence Agency, NSIA, in collaboration with Interpol, carried out the arrest. But again, you would recall that, yes, the British government a while ago came out to say members of IPOB and members of MASOP can seek asylum. Of course, that provoked the Nigerian government, who came out to say, well, that's not the way to go. They actually felt insulted based on the fact that IPOB has been designated as a terrorist group in Nigeria. So a lot of controversy surrounding how Nnamdi Kanu was actually rearrested. Different accounts, different stories to this one. But what's your thoughts generally on this?
Uh, as regards the arrest or rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the proscribed IPOB group, it is not too surprising for me, although a lot of people will find it a little bit shocking because they would have felt it was impossible to get Nnamdi Kanu rearrested after he fled the country. But I know that with the kind of Interpol relationship that we, have with the foreign security agencies and government, it is easier to nab, any Nigerian out there who has been uh, said to have been involved in some kind of crime, and anyone that also has been fingered into some level of felony, as the government has labeled on him, it's always easy to get them arrested, whether corruption or money laundering or whatever. It's always easy to collaborate in that regards to arrest them. Now, coming to the issue of whether or not the UK had the right or what, the UK is a country that decide what it wants for herself, and I do not see it as a challenge. Yes, the Nigerian government may have seen the IPOB group as a terrorist group. They may have proscribed them, but the UK government may not have seen, the IPOB group as such. The group is, entirely different from the those perpetrating the kind of restive activities as seen that we have going on in the country. The IPOP as a body, they are talking about, agitating for freedom. They are, wanting to move away from Nigeria's secession and what have you. Those are the things they are clamoring for. But you may find one or two persons in this group, that are involved in some crime or the other. That is not to say you can't persecute such, persons in that group. We know the group, what they stand for, and that is what the position of the UK, what the group stand for, is what they are looking at for, and that's why they are willing to offer asylum to any of them who's willing to apply for such. But that's not to say that they support or they should support, any individual, whether or not they are in the group or not, involving in high level of crime, burning of government property and what have you. They should not support, and I don't think in their own perspective from inception that they have supported that. Now, coming back to Nigeria, you look at, some people say, see how swift it was for the federal government to have rearrested Nnamdi Kanu, and they wonder why, such swiftness is not also being seen, in the arrest of some other people that has been adjudged to have committed a treasonable felony against the country. and that's quite another challenge to look at. But again, too, you want to be sincere with some of these things and look at the different scenarios involved. We have a situation where somebody is still having the freedom to move around outside Nigeria, even though it was actually undergoing trial here in the country before leaving. And you also see a partnership between countries who made the arrest possible. And I must tell you that if it went for the kind of partnership that they had, it would have been extremely difficult for the Nigerian government to rearrest Nnamdi Kanu. So most of the time, I think even criminals who hide themselves within Nigeria and the African border seem to have a upper hand, in getting themselves away from being arrested, by government. And I think that's a challenge for us as a country. We don't seem to have enough territory control, because one would have expected the same level of effort to have arrested all the bandits, those of them in the various forests in the country. So if we cannot even arrest people in the forest of this country, how come it was easy? But I will tell you, just like I said, it was easy because of the government of these foreign countries who made it happen. It wasn't as a result of the intelligence of the Nigerian government at all whatsoever. So you can't give the credit to them. That's my point. The credit goes to those foreign countries. So believe you me, if these guys that are roaming the forest of Nigeria, make a step to travel abroad to, they will easily be arrested by these foreign countries. So it therefore means that one needs to even travel out of the country to really get to be really arrested, so that government can really have access to them, because we are almost rendered handicapped here in the country.
All right, talking about how swift this really is. There's a big question there: is was it really swift? Because if you look at a part of this report, you would see that it says Nigeria had contacted Interpol for the arrest and extradition of Kanu to Nigeria. And we know that when you talk about the UK or any other country, when it comes to extradition, there are certain processes, right? There are certain law, and usually an extradition process would start 21 days after an arrest has been made, and there's this preliminary hearing and then the extradition hearing. Now we have many Nigerians who are still fighting their extradition process back to the country. And of course, if it's really that swift, how come? I know people say, well, do not compare, but how come we don't have the likes of Desani, whom we've been saying, let's have her back to the country? You understand? So it just tells you that this thing takes a lot of process. Now, from the report, we understand that Nnamdi Kanu was arrested on Sunday, and nobody knew about it. Not even the UK, media or something. So there was no leak anywhere, only for the Attorney General to come out on Tuesday to say, well, he is with us right now, he's in our custody, he's in Nigeria, and all of that. So do you really feel this is swift, or is this some covert operation, like I said earlier, looking at how he has been arrested and the processes of extradition, if truly there was a collaborative effort?
The collaborative effort I'm talking about is not in the instance of the Nigerian government calling on or asking the UK government to help them make the arrest or extradite him and get him back to Nigeria and all of that. Those are normal collaboration that happens. I'm talking of the real arrest. The Nigerian government, put its own intelligence in place to travel to the UK and get him arrested. No, I don't think that is the situation. Yes, when I say swift, I'm talking about the time frame to have gotten him back to the country. That is why I said swift, because but if you look at it has been ongoing, and the contact that we're talking about didn't just happen last week. The contact has been there since Nnamdi Kanu left the country. Now, sometimes some things happen that escalates the interest of government to, in fact, put more pressure on their partners abroad to get someone arrested, particularly the issue of the burning of government property, police station in the southeastern part of the country. Those are some of the things that has put in more pressure. Don't also forget that even a freedom fighter in the Niger Delta, talking about Tom Polo, was also declared wanted when this administration took over. But you can see that when he was declared wanted, the guy went into the cooler, and we didn't hear so much about him. Not those usual activities of pipeline vandalism and blasting happen. So those kind of cool off, led the guy to have a time to relax, and government had to even wait and see what would happen. And if government see that, okay, you are kind of retreating as a result of their threat to get you arrested. I think sometimes to the retreat. Let's assume that even after declaring him wanted, he went ahead and carried out so many, disastrous activities on oil facility and what have you. I believe government will go swiftly to get him arrested. These things have played out in several scenarios. Don't also forget the issue of Twitter. Lai Mohammed will tell you that they have been on Twitter for long. But I tell you, what actually triggered it again, they said they this time around, the reason why they even temporarily suspended Twitter was because Twitter was involved in the loss of lives and property, in the protests that happened, NSAS protests that happened in Nigeria. But don't also forget that something now triggered it, which is the statement of the president that was taken down by Twitter.
Quickly, because of time, if we can, in 1 minute now, what to do? What's the next step to go right now? We know, yes, his retrial has been fixed for July 26th. But again, this is a very, very delicate one in the hands of the federal government right now, because one step could just ruin the entire process, looking at the followership that Nnamdi Kanu has. And of course, we also have a statement right here saying Indigo will react if anything untoward happens to him. And another way, too, the government, does the right thing, handles it very well. It could help to also douse the entire tension or the entire, secessionist agitation.
It's a legal process that we need to allow, to come into fruition, because whatever I want to say as regards the judgment will be prejudicial. So I think we have to allow the court, both lawyers debate and interpret their own perspective of the case, such that we'll get justice at the end of the day, either for the government or for Nnamdi Kanu. But on the part of the position of the people of the southeastern part of the country, I will tell you for a fact, from all body language and reaction, you can see that these guys somehow, some way are behind, supporting, or they are backing Nnamdi Kanu and fighting for his release. The other time they were also instrumental to his release or temporary release before he fled the country. So you can see the support coming from them. So I do not want to believe that Nnamdi Kanu is going to be there alone. So he's going to get support from prominent southeastern citizens, and that put together, I think it should be enough to give him the kind of level that will bring about justice, if at all.
Well, I just hope at the end of the day, justice is served and everything goes well, and things not deteriorate from what we have it already. Thank you so much, Mr. Bright, for joining me. This is where we wrap it up this morning. Headlines from the Dailies right here on Rise 106.7. Do want to grab yourself a copy of any of the dailies out there so you can be updated. Precious Owolaja is my name. Good morning.